Part 2 of Chapter 7, Obtaining and Protecting Your Credit. The essential question is, what are some credit rights and credit laws? To start with, we're going to take a look at how does credit work video. There are a couple questions on your notes that you will have to fill out as you watch the video.
When you think of the word credit, you might think about extra credit from your teacher. But what about financial credit, like credit cards? Do you know what that kind of credit is? And how does it work? How can you use it to get the things you want or need in life? When it comes to money, credit is basically a loan, where you borrow money with the promise of paying it back later. People use credit for all sorts of things. Auto loans offer credit to buy cars. A mortgage is credit to buy a house. And of course, credit cards come in handy for everyday purchases.
Okay, so an example of one of the questions is, which is an example of a form of credit? A mortgage, car loan, credit card, or all of the above? All of the above is correct.
Credit cards act as an account tied to your name and keep track of your spending. At the end of the month, you get a bill for all of your purchases at once. So, is it really that easy? You just borrow the money and then pay it back when you can? Not quite. Remember learning that when you save money, you earn what is called interest? Well, when you borrow money, you pay interest. Interest is basically a fee charged by credit card companies for taking the risk of letting you pay for something in advance and pay them back later. Here's how it works. Let's say Mason has his eye on a tablet that he has researched and decided to buy. The tablet is expensive and he can't pay for it all right now. But he has a credit card and has decided to use credit to buy it. At the end of the month, Mason gets a bill from his credit card company. It shows him exactly how much he spent. If he pays the full amount, then he doesn't owe any more money. But if he chooses to pay it back over time, then he's going to owe interest. The longer...
Question 2, does Mason have to pay the entire credit bill when it arrives at the end of the month? Nope. But if Mason pays in full, he won't end up paying interest. If he pays the entire bill, he basically got to borrow that money for the month for free.
The longer it takes him to pay it back, the more he will end up spending in interest. Exactly how much interest depends on how much the interest rate is. The rule is this: the higher the interest rate, the more money you might have to pay in interest. Many factors go into the interest rate, including the type of credit being used and other factors, like your credit history. Your credit history is your personal track record of paying back money that you've borrowed. If you usually pay your bills on time, you'll likely pay a lower rate than someone who doesn't.
Sarah has never paid a bill late, but sometimes she only pays the minimum. John missed his credit card payment for the first time ever 3 months ago. Jackson always pays his bill on time, or before. He pays in full too. Who gets the best credit rate? Is it Sarah? She's never been late, even though she sometimes only pays the minimum. John? He has had a long track record that's almost perfect. Or Jackson? He's never missed a due date and always pays in full. Correct. Jackson. Paying in full shows that he isn't overextended.
Different lenders can also offer different rates. That's why it's a good idea to shop around, the same way you shop for clothes, trying to get the best deal. So why do people use credit? For one, it helps when you're trying to buy something with a big price tag if you do not have the full amount up front. Also, using a credit card responsibly and paying it off as soon as possible and always on time shows future lenders that you can handle borrowing larger amounts. Be careful though. Paying interest on money you've borrowed means that you're spending more for an item than if you just paid in cash.
If you don't pay your bill in full each month, what is actually happening? You are paying more for the item because you're buying... Let me start that again. You are paying more for the items you are buying than the receipt shows because the interest on the purchase adds to the cost. You can be arrested or you'll be declined until you pay it off. The top one, right. So it is best to save credit cards for important large purchases or emergencies unless you can pay it in full.
If you're late with payments or miss them altogether, it can increase your interest rates, and you may be charged a fee. And if you're unable to pay back something that you have borrowed money for, like a house or a car, you will likely have to give it back. So, like with almost every financial decision, or for that matter, life decision, be sure you understand and weigh the benefits and the trade-offs. Making a wise decision can help you get the biggest bang for your buck.
All right. Next on the list is credit rights and consumer credit laws. While credit can be dangerous to your financial health, it can also be invaluable. For that reason, federal laws help protect your access to credit. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act prohibits creditors from denying credit based on gender, age, race, national origin, religion, and marital status. Creditors, that term, are people who provide credit. The federal law can help protect your access to credit. This legislation requires creditors to notify applicants within 30 days if they will receive credit. They'll explain the reason for denial if the credit is denied. I have another video for you, just a short little video.
Hi, this is Laura with National Credit Federation. The Federal Trade Commission is the agency that enforces the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. Underneath this law, credit discrimination is forbidden. Creditors cannot accept or deny an application based on race, color, religion, national origin, sex, marital status, age, or because you receive public assistance. Now, on the other hand, they are allowed to request this information, but it cannot be used towards or against you to make a decision. The most common deciding factors for a credit application are things like income, debt, and credit history. This law covers any business or organization that extends credit. This includes, but is not limited to, banks, small loan and finance companies, retail and department stores, credit card companies, and credit card unions, or credit unions. Everyone involved with the provision of credit or the decision of the terms must comply. To research your rights covered by federal law, you can visit our website, www.
All right, there are some major consumer credit laws. The federal government has established many laws to help ensure fair and reasonable standards for consumers. The biggest is the Credit Card Accountability, Responsibility, and Disclosure Act. It's also called the Credit Card Act. It ensures consumers who pursue credit card services are treated fairly and have access to complete information about the fees and other provision in credit card agreement. It also places limits on the fee amounts and the different types of fees that a credit card company can charge you. So that's your Credit Card Act. There's also another big one is the Financial Reform Act. And this is designed to prevent deceptive practices in the credit granting process. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was created as part of this legislation. And basically, the primary goal was to enforce consumer finance laws and to make sure consumers who need financial services are treated fairly. There's a couple more laws we'll take a look at is the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. And again, this prohibits discrimination in the granting of credit on the basis of such factors as race, skin color, or sex. The Fair Credit Billing Act, it sets up procedures requiring creditors to promptly credit your payment and correct billing mistakes and allows you to withhold payment on deceptive goods. So if there's an issue with your credit card bill, they have a certain period of time that they must take action. They cannot just ignore you. The Fair Credit Reporting Act, it sets up procedures for correcting mistakes on your credit card record. So it'll overlap into this act. And the Truth in Lending Act gives you 3 days to change your mind about certain credit transactions that use your home as collateral. It also limits your risk on lost or stolen credit cards. So again, this will help you when your credit card's either stolen or you've lost it or whatever, and somebody is using it, somebody may have stolen and lose it. With the Truth in Lending Act, it provides you some guidelines to remedy that solution. So again, there are some major consumer laws. There's a bunch that go with it also, but these are the major ones. What are the risks and benefits of consumer credit? When you think about it, we've talked about them a little bit before. Remember the benefits, it's convenient and it can make certain purchases possible. A risk can be credit is costly and it can lead to financial problems if used unwisely. Okay, next we're going to go through some financial math problems. Let me switch to that sheet. And yours looks like this. On the sheet there it says financial math problems, figuring interest. You must show your work to get credit. So I need to see more than just the answer. Okay, when we're working with financial math problems and we're trying to figure out interest, you need to take in account this formula here. Principal times annual interest rate times time equal interest. And that's what we're going to use throughout this sheet. Okay, you bought a new iPad. The deal was attractive to you because you'll be required to make monthly interest only payments on the $400 purchase for the first year. So you're only going to pay the interest. You don't have to pay any of the principal. How much interest will you pay each month over the course of the first year, assuming a 12% annual interest rate? Okay, so when we're using the formula above, we take the principal. So that's the principal, which is $400, times your annual interest rate is 12%. And the year is right there. Okay, so we're going to take 400 times 12%, and we come up with $48 per year. Correct? We can take $48, and how many months are you going to pay it? 12 months. And we will get $4 per month. Okay. Makes sense, hopefully. Okay, the second one. Joe bought a jacket that cost $325 at the new store opening. The store gave him 30 days of free credit. However, if he does not pay within 30 days, they will charge him 9% annual interest rate. How much interest will Gavin pay if he lets, that should be Joe, actually. How much will he have to pay if he lets the account go for 60 days? So we're going to plug the information into our problem here. So our principal is $325, and we're following our formula up on top, times the interest rate of 9%, times 60 days, because he's going to let it go for 60 days. And when you do interest, the number of days in a year when you're figuring out interest is 360. So what this part here states is that you are using it 60 days out of the year. So you don't have to worry if it's 365, 364, whatever it is. In the business world, use 360 days. So if you plug that into your calculator, the principal times the interest times the time, you will come up with 4.875 or $4.88. Oops, forgot my decimal. Okay. The third one, Daniel borrowed $1,800 from the bank to buy a computer. How much will he have to pay back in 18 months, assuming the annual interest rate is 12%, and he intends to pay the loan off in full after the 18 months? Okay, so we're going to take the principal of $1,800 times the rate times 18 months divided by 12 in a year equals 324. And the reason why we do this again is because this percent is out of a year, and we're using it a year and a half. Okay, so this will be the interest. How much will he have to pay back? The principal, sorry about that, the principal of $1,800 plus the interest of $324 equals $2,124 is what he will have to pay back. Sandy borrowed $1,600 from the bank that she will be making interest-only payments on for the first year. Assuming the annual interest rate is 12% or 1% a month, how much will she have to pay every month? She's only again going to pay on the interest. So we take the principal times how much is she going to pay in interest every month? And we will come up with $16 per month. Okay. Greg's mom offered to loan him $3,000 to buy a car with an annual interest rate of 9%. Assuming he pays off his mom, I forgot to change that too. At the end of 2 years, how much would he have paid for the car? Okay, so we're going to take our principal times the rate of 9%. And we can see right here, if we take 3,000 times 9%, he is going to owe $270 per year. Okay. $270 times 2 years. So he needs to pay back his mom the principal plus the interest, and so it'll be $3,540. Again, if you want to write out the entire math problem, it would look like this. Give me a second here. Okay, we're going to figure out the interest would be principal times interest times, if we were going to do the months, okay, how many months in a year? This would be figuring out our interest. We would add it to $3,000, which is our principal. And again, we'd come up with $3,540.